Okay, so you've given yourself permission to move. You've stopped fighting where you are. So why do you still hesitate? Because maybe it's not about readiness. Maybe it's about who you're still committed to being. There's a version of us that we stay loyal to, not the best version, not the current version, an older one. And that loyalty can quietly keep our lives smaller than they need to be. We talk a lot about growth, we talk about healing, and we talk about becoming. But very few of us stop to ask who we are still internally obligated to remain. Self-redemption isn't just about feeling better. It's about changing what you're structurally committed to. It's the moment we stop allowing a past version of ourselves to dictate what's possible right now. Because here's what happens. We build identity around repeated conclusions, not around truth, around the story we keep telling. So if something happened, we made a bad decision or we failed at something we regret, and we attached a meaning to it, that meaning didn't just stay a memory. It became a rule. So let's just start here, honestly, with ourselves. What past behavior have you promoted into a permanent label? Not what mistake was made. What mistake became, this is who I am? Because once a behavior becomes identity, we stop questioning it. And that's how we quietly lock ourselves in. Let's go a little further. You know, we tend to choose consistency over accuracy because consistency feels safer, even when it's wrong. So you got to ask yourself, are you holding on to this version of yourself because it's true or just because it's known? Because familiarity can look like responsibility. It can look like humility. It can even look like self awareness, but sometimes it's just inertia. To go a little further, what does continuing to see yourself this way allow you to avoid? Does it allow you to avoid higher expectations? Does it allow you to avoid really real risks or actually being seen differently? Because the uncomfortable truth is if we keep telling the same story about who we are, we keep producing the same behavior to match it. Not because it's destiny, but because it's easier. I'll stay with that. Self redemption is not pretending that the past didn't happen, it's refusing to let it stay in charge. That's it. Shame locks us into the old identity, responsibility creates distance from it. Shame says, I am that mistake. Responsibility says, that was a decision and another decision is available. And only one of those positions allows change. So ask yourself carefully, if an old label disappeared today, what decisions would suddenly open up to you? Not what feelings, what decisions? Because redemption isn't just emotional, it's operational. And here is where it becomes very real. Many of us are still behaving in alignment with a version of ourselves we've claimed that we've already outgrown. Not because we believe it, but because we never formally released it. So you have to notice and ask yourself, is that version of you still in charge? Or are you just acting like it is? Sit with it if you have to. Because if it's not in charge, nothing external has to change first. We don't need ceremony. We don't need an apology tour. And we don't need to feel dramatically different. What's required is one internal decision. And that decision is that version of me does not get veto power anymore. Not loudly, not publicly, just internally, quietly. We are not required to remain loyal to an outdated identity in order to prove that we've learned. We are allowed to update, and that's not denial. That's self-redemption. So, the old version doesn't get veto power anymore? Good. But now you're standing in an open space. And the question becomes, who do you become now? Not through affirmation, but through choice. And that is our next step. Continue traveling.